Monday, February 10th, it is the day after the Super Bowl. And I got to tell you, that's one of the more shocking Super Bowls I've ever watched in my life. You want to talk me into the Eagles winning the game? Sure. I could have been talked into that. I picked the Chiefs. You could have talked me into the Eagles. But winning the game like that, I did not have that on my dance card. I did not think that that was going to happen. A dominating performance from Philadelphia. It is great to have you here. As always, the channel is brought to you by that man right there, Ike of Ike Sandwiches. We got our good friends at BetUS, clearly powering today's show. And we got love for the Dubliner, as always. Thanks to our friends at the Halfway Club for hosting us last night for a fun watch party together. That was an awful lot of fun. Thanks to those who came on out and hung out. It was a good time. Good God, I couldn't believe what I was watching over and over and over again. I think one of the lessons here is how hard this all is. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs got, maybe the best quarterback living, breathing on the planet today. And they've got a coach whose level of success is no longer being questioned. Can he attain it? Andy Reid has been to the mountaintop. He has seen the view. Andy Reid, he gets 2 weeks to prepare. You're basically in a mathematical guaranteed to lose this game type of situation historically in Andy Reid's career. You give him time to prepare, you are in trouble. Unless you were the Philadelphia Eagles in New Orleans last night. I don't know if the Kansas City Chiefs ran consecutive successful plays. That's how bad that was. I don't know if they ran consecutive successful plays. Speaking of consecutive, Albert is saying, good morning. It's my second consecutive plus. I'm back on a winning streak. Well, you're back streaking, Albert. There's no doubt about that. Great to have you as always. Our man Carl with the understatement of the year. The Eagles are quite good, it would seem. Yes, Carl. It would seem that way. Unbelievable. A couple years ago, half the NFL universe had Nick Sirianni fired for getting in arguments with fans and just not getting it done. And I don't know about Sirianni, blah, 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 blah. Well, right now, Nick Sirianni is the fifth highest winning percentage in NFL history and has been to 2 Super Bowls in 4 years with a win, obviously, Sunday in New Orleans. Howie Roseman, without a doubt, now wears the crown of best general manager in maybe sports, maybe all of sports, to be honest with you, because he's done something that I think is the feather in the cap of any general manager. Not can you do it once with your guys, but can you do it twice with different guys? Howie Roseman has now won 2 Super Bowls with 2 different quarterbacks and 2 different head coaches. That's stunning. That's stunning. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Howie Roseman will be a general manager who goes to the Hall of Fame. By the way, Rita Thomas, who's been a member now for 4 months, she gets to go to the Hall of Fame. Since when did this ref crew come from? Damon takes a pull from the bottle. Yeah. Well, do you know what? Football season's over. It's 11:07 a.m. on a Monday. Why wouldn't we drink a little? Cheers, Rita. There you go. There's your sip of the day. Right off the rip. Cheers to Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio is the guy that the 49ers should have hired instead of Steve Wilkes. He's the guy that the 49ers should have hired instead of Nick Sorensen. He's the guy that they probably should have abandoned the wide 9 for, because Vic Fangio, who had been 0-8 against Patrick Mahomes in his career, he got it all back last night. I have never seen Patrick Mahomes sped up like that. I've never seen Patrick Mahomes look as uncomfortable as that in any game I've ever seen him play. And look, how do you want to measure these things? What equals that's the worst game in that guy's career? Well, when you have a bad game in a Super Bowl, that goes right to the top of the list. You know, one of the things that Tom Brady said that was actually insightful this week leading up to the Super Bowl was talking about how he dealt with a lot of Super Bowl losses in his career and how the Super Bowl losses are brought up to him more than any Super Bowl victory. You know, I think it's an impression of how kind of negatively wired we all are as sports fans. But the loss, the bitterness of loss stays on players and coaches and fans' taste buds more than the sweetness of victory. That always happens. We see that all the time. And this is going to sting Patrick Mahomes. You know, Brady said there's a big difference being 4-1 in Super Bowls and 3-2. He's right about that. There's certainly a big difference when, you know, your 3-2 record now includes one of the all-time depancings in Super Bowl history. I mean, at one point in that game, Kansas City didn't cross the 50-yard line until late in the third quarter. Kansas City did not score in this game until the final minute of the third quarter. Mahomes sacked 6 times. 6 sacks for Patrick Mahomes. He throws 2 interceptions. And, you know, Jalen Hurts, he was the MVP because you just, I guess, can't give MVP to an entire defense. But if we were trying to award an MVP that really spoke to how this game played, even though Hurts generated all the offense and Saquon Barkley did not nearly have the game that a lot of people thought that he might have. Saquon Barkley's day is one of the only things about this game I really handicapped well. It was the Eagles defense that carried them to victory. I mean, Hurts was really good. And look, when you look at what Hurts did just running the football, you know, a lot of people, I think, looked at Hurts' passing numbers and said, well, I don't know if he should be MVP. You look at what he did on the ground, too. Jalen Hurts had a very historic game last night. As a matter of fact, Hurts is now the only quarterback in NFL history to do all of the following in any single game, whether it be regular or postseason. Jalen Hurts threw for over 200 yards, rushed for over 70 yards, threw multiple touchdown passes, rushed for a touchdown, completed 75% of his passes, and averaged more than 10 yards per pass attempt while winning the game. Jalen Hurts is the first quarterback to ever do all of that in one game in the NFL, regular season, postseason, Super Bowl or not. So he was very good, if not spectacular. But I don't know if anybody was better than that Kansas City, or excuse me, the Eagles defense. I mean, it was just dominating. It dominated the game. Trench warfare is how the Eagles won a Super Bowl. And you talk about, you know, what are the lessons the 49ers can take away? Well, have a general manager who hits his draft picks. Stick with a coach when you believe in him. Now, the 49ers have stayed with Kyle Shanahan. They believe in him. John Lynch is a general manager, but he is not the same as Howie Roseman, not even close. Everybody's excited about Robert Saleh back in the room. Now he's got Gus Bradley there as one of his right-hand men, and he's selected his own special teams coach for Kyle. And, you know, there should be a lot better coaching around the 49ers. But again, Vic Fangio just crushed it. And you really look at what the Eagles done historically, that's one of the most impressive 2-game stretches in NFL playoff history. The Eagles just won the NFC title game and Super Bowl by a combined 50 points. They beat the Commanders by 32, and they beat the Chiefs by 18. I'm not a mathematician, but that's a combined 50 points. The Eagles' defense didn't give up any more than 23 points in any one of their 4 playoff games. So what do you know? Defense still wins championships. And controlling the line of scrimmage is how you go about making sure your defense is playing well. The Eagles' defensive ends crashed that party in a way that 49ers defensive ends against the Eagles, and you can talk about holding, you can talk about officiating all you want. Niners did not get the job done in a way that the Eagles did. Full stop. Don't complain. Something else, man. Something else. Thanks to Diego Sanchez. What do we got here? Is that, what is that? Cheers. Yes, cheers to the 24-25 season. May we forget it soon. Yeah, Diego. Yeah, I mean, it was not a fun football season for 49ers fans. I don't think it was one of the best played football seasons just across the board. I thought the quality of play overall in the league sort of took a step back this year. It was memorable for a few postseason performances, but yeah, it was a kind of forgettable regular season, certainly for the 49ers. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. But, I already miss it. I'll be totally honest with you. If you told me that I still had another football game to watch that was in real football, not like some bullshit Pro Bowl or anything like that, but like another football game to watch this upcoming Sunday, yeah, I would watch it. I already miss football, and it's going to be a long time till we get any of it. So let me welcome everybody to draft season, because it is officially here. The NFL's offseason is now upon us. You talk about the biggest lessons the Niners need to take away. I am signing center Drew Dolman at the stroke of midnight when free agency begins. What I watched last night says you have to be able to run behind your center, and you have to be able to keep pressure off your quarterback. And I think the pressure point that needs to be changed for either of those things to happen better than it did last year for the 49ers is Jake Brendel right in the middle there. I want Drew Dolman, who will be an expensive free agent add as a center, but I'd rather have Drew Dolman touching the ball on every play than a guy like T. Higgins, who only gets to touch the ball whenever it's thrown to him. Maybe. I need better offensive line play across the board. And then I need, if you're the Niners, you need more pressure up front on your defensive line. And that is where the majority of your draft picks need to be spent as you're looking how to get back into the playoffs next year. Trench warfare. The team that can win it has so much better of a chance of winning any football game that has ever been played. If you're winning in the trenches, chances are you're winning at the end of the day when the clock goes to zero as well. It's pretty hard to overcome trench warfare, and the Niners need to get better at it once again. They really, really do. Again, Mahomes sacked 6 times. 6 times. Another thing that I hope happens coming out of this is a little grace is extended to when a bad game actually happens. As you can see, bad football can happen anywhere at any time to anyone. No one is unavailable to a bad afternoon of football. That was an embarrassing afternoon of football for the Kansas City Chiefs. But because, guys got priors and priors matter, no one is saying that Andy Reid needs to go or Patrick Mahomes isn't going to be able to get it done anymore or anything like that. So, the next time you see Brock Purdy play that bad in any game, Brock Purdy's worst game ever was probably that Christmas game against the Ravens. Outside of that, I've never seen Brock Purdy look as uncomfortable as Patrick Mahomes was made to look last night. So if it can happen to him, it can happen to anybody. So, I just think that people need to stop insisting on how everything should go and realize that any given Sunday still officially exists in this league. Now, 510 Steve says, it sucks that we could have watched Bills and Eagles instead. I mean, I don't know how much different of a game that is. I mean, the Eagles were just freaking on one. And I absolutely underestimated how good they were. While praising the entire time, like how good that offensive line was and the season that Barkley had, probably should have gotten him the MVP, and Jalen Hurts is a little bit better than anyone wants to admit. But wow, that was really something else. That was really, really something else. I did not see that one going down quite like that. By the way, when it comes to betting this Super Bowl, I didn't do as bad of a job as you think I might have. I got a few of these things right. We'll go over those in just a second. But again, thank you for being here today. Hit like and subscribe on this broadcast. Certainly appreciate you supporting the live stream just by doing that. Liking, subscribing, let's go. Thank you very, very much for doing that. Thank you, as always, to the cardboard cutout behind me, who actually happens to be this graphic right here as well. My man Ike is a delicious sandwich waiting for you. Now, maybe you're picking out what the office is going to eat this week. Check out Ike's Catering. Make sure that you sign up for that Love Rewards program, and what you will have is a chance for free beverages, free chips with every drink order, sandwich purchase that you make when you sign up for that Ike's Love Rewards app. Thanks to our guys at the Dubliner, as always, the best Guinness pole in all of San Francisco, the Dubliner West Portal. Go say hi to Kenny and John. Those guys are ready to greet you as you want to sit down and watch Warriors and Bucks tonight. Jimmy Butler, second game in a Warriors uniform, undefeated in the Jimmy Butler era. They took down the mighty Chicago Bulls, and by mighty Chicago Bulls, I mean terrible Chicago Bulls. But great place to go for you tonight. If you want to watch a little basketball in company of good folks, head over to the Dubliner. And as always, we want to thank BetUS for being our gaming sponsor. Use promo code YouTube150 for 150% sign-up bonus when you go ahead and deposit up to $2,000 on your very first deposit. And you can get a 200% sign-up bonus and up to $5,000 and a 250% crypto sign-up bonus when you check out the BetUS Casino. And with fewer NFL games to play until football starts again, maybe that's more your speed. So thank you again to our sponsors. Could not get it all done without you. And again, like and subscribe if you would please. We would appreciate it as always. Couple more supers coming in. Local Enterprise Broadcasting says Chiefs shouldn't have been there last night. And last night was the proof. They did win the AFC title game. Don't like how they did it. Think the fix was, again, the NFL is rigged crowd. Kind of quiet this morning. Not a lot of rigging helped the Chiefs last night, if that's what you believe. Look, when you've won back-to-back Super Bowls, saying that you're not worthy is a bit of a stretch in my mind. And having said all that, Mike sums it up perfectly here. Mike824 says, that was an ass beating. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt. The lost wallet says bad motherfucker on it, and it must belong to the Philadelphia Eagles. Here you go, fellas. We found your wallet. Very impressive night. Very, very impressive night. Now, from a gambling standpoint, did I do you any favors? How much did Uncle Damon help you? Well, I gave you Chiefs -1.5. Didn't even come close there. But I gave you the over hit in this game. DeAndre Hopkins over 12.5 receiving yards. That went over, but not by much. Isaiah Pacheco, 20.5 rushing yards. That went under. I thought that was going to go over. It didn't. The Chiefs totally abandoned the running game. Saquon Barkley under 110.5 yards. I had that under. I thought if the Eagles were going to win, it's going to be because Jalen Hurts got it done. I do think that, we're going to watch Spagnuolo take the Eagles' best player away. And in a way, that's what happened. We did not see an awful lot beyond carries for Saquon Barkley. He had one nice catch. Xavier Worthy, as an anytime touchdown scorer, he scored 2 touchdowns. So I got that one right. Game's first touchdown, Dallas Goedert. Again, that's really a shot in the dark bet. I didn't encourage anyone to follow me along there, but I got that one wrong. So, not a very profitable night when you factor in the juice on everything, but technically I come out ahead when I win, 4 out of 7. And of course, you take those winnings and you tip your bartender generously. Or in your case, your host. Thank you very much for the super chats, as always. Konnichiwa. We got our man Joji in here saying hello to everybody this morning. Again, lots of regular names in here. Good to see you all. And again, football season is over. That hurts. That stings a little. It really does. I already missed football season. But let me tell you what's coming up right around the corner, and that is this offseason, and it's going to be a fascinating one for the San Francisco 49ers, really for the league all around. This is a huge, huge year for the Shanahan-Lynch regime. Obviously, the decisions that they make in free agency, this draft, what they do around Brock Purdy's contract is going to be one of the most leaning in, forward-thinking off seasons we've had in a while. And the Niners cannot afford to screw this up at all. It's going to be fascinating to see how it all comes together. I hope you subscribe to the channel to get what are going to be hopefully some comprehensive draft profiles, some directions I think the 49ers need to look, some players that they could uncover that would be the right fit, not just for the circumstances, but for the team, for the chemistry of the team, for the character of this team. There's a lot of moving parts that going into making the right 49er. And they need to draft more guys who are playing next year than more guys who don't work out, because that is got a last place schedule. You got a team that should be coming out angry and motivated after the disappointing season it just had. And if you thought that Deebo was a guy who started working against 49ers success, not necessarily towards 49ers success, well, it seems like Deebo might be the next guy out the door. As Adam Schefter reported Sunday morning from New Orleans, the 49ers have granted Deebo Samuel the opportunity to seek a trade to another team. So what in that action alone does that mean? Deebo wants out. And the Niners, I think, want him out. And they basically said, Deebo, we might have tried to do this, but we didn't get a number that we liked. We didn't get a return that we thought was right. If you and your agent can put something together, we couldn't. Bring us your best option. By the way, just because Deebo brings it to them doesn't mean that they have to take it. But it is a very weird situation. And look, Deebo, there's a lot to like about the player. There's a lot to stop believing in the player. Is he a little bit of a, diva distraction, good for the overall chemistry of the team? There are examples of yes. There are examples of no. I honestly, I don't care how he gets along with anybody. Like Deebo Samuel could be leaving freaking dumps in everybody's locker. If he is playing his ass off, who cares? He's not that guy anymore. I don't know if he's going to be fast enough to be that guy. He's a $28 million a year special teamer gadget guy. What could you ever get for Deebo Samuel? There's no way the Niners are able to extract a 4th round pick out of anybody for him. A 5th rounder? Well, now you got to ask yourself, what really is going to help you more next year, in a year where you're not going to have Brandon Ayuk until around Christmas? As much as Deebo ain't perfect, he knows the system. Would you rather have that 5th, 6th rounder, or disgruntled, would rather not be here Deebo? I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is there. This is Ryan. Ryan, thank you very much. The Eagles organization chart works. The GM controls personnel and draft. The head coach just coaches. Kyle wants too much power. And it prevents the 49ers from winning the Super Bowl. I don't think I disagree with you. I've been saying for years now, Kyle needs some responsibilities taken off of his plate. I feel like he just needs to get back to coaching. But I don't think I trust John Lynch to just get it all done himself. What if I told you that the problem with the 49ers wasn't the quarterback, it wasn't the head coach, it might be the general manager? I don't know. I guess we need another draft to see what John Lynch is going to do, because of all of his draft picks, he's had more not work out than work out. And I know that, a lot of GMs have that formula working for them as well, but you cannot consistently miss out on day 1, day 2 picks and fancy yourself a contender for very long. Again, the bill for the Trey Lance debacle, the bill for several early draft picks that did not work out, the bill hit the table this season for the 49ers. And there wasn't any amount of looking around in his pockets for extra cash that Kyle could pay this bill with. The bill was too much. So, this is a huge offseason. So again, like and subscribe, if you would, please, for all the videos that we're going to have coming out as we start approaching the draft. Meanwhile, a little bit of a weird week, though, for me. I got Jillian in Chicago on a business trip all week long, which means I'm on solo dad duty, which means we're watching Empire Strikes Back with some popcorn tonight. I am excited about that. So are the boys. As Jillian was taking a red eye to Chicago last night, her plane got diverted in Denver because some guy had like a schizophrenic break and needed to be tackled and zip tied. I was like, oh, sorry about that. I don't like connecting flights, especially because of something like that. So Jillian didn't get into Chicago until very, very late today. But man, that is just... That's a shitty way to start a week of business where you're going to be really busy. But because of that, I'm on dad duty all week. But I got to tell you, there's some interesting things happening with some of the connections that are going around here on YouTube. I saw that Tom Tolbert announced that he is going to be starting a YouTube channel in the very near future. Hopefully, Tommy and I get to connect. We'll clearly still be doing stuff with Larry 3 times a week on Wake Up. Got to get John Lund. Got to get Dave Lombardi back on. Got to get my boy Sam Patesh, who is an Eagles fan, has got to be having a great Monday morning. We got a lot of stuff coming up here on YouTube for you. So again, like and subscribe. If there's one thing I can promise you, we will never, ever waste your time. I don't know about all these Bay Area teams. I don't know. The Giants might waste your entire summer. Let's see what this Warriors team actually morphs into now that Jimmy Butler's on it. I didn't think it was the right direction to go in, but maybe it is. The results after one game had Jimmy Butler getting to the free throw line in 4 quarters of being a Warrior more than Steph Curry's gone to a free throw line since 2009. I mean, now I know they're very different games, but Jimmy got to the free throw line. He seemed to be a nice compliment to Curry. They seem to be getting along well on the bench. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where this goes. We're going to get a Luka Doncic in a Laker uniform sighting tonight as well, I believe. Did you see that Anthony Davis is already going to be out several weeks? Anthony Davis in his Mavericks debut came out and played like Hakeem Olajuwon right before he hurt himself, and now he's going to be gone for several weeks. Enjoy that, Dallas Mavericks, because that's the guy you just traded for. We got Mike coming in saying Deebo been locked in for dinner. That gut pushed through that Eagles jersey. By the way, isn't that a little bit of a sign that something's rotten in Denmark, right? When you got a guy who's cashing paychecks, playing for another team, show up wearing another team's jersey, that means this motherfucker's up to something. That's what that means. There's no way Deebo wasn't thinking about what's next when he put that, I'm just going to support my guys. Nah, he wants to be an Eagle, I bet. But let's go Warriors, let's go NBA, because that's all we got between now and opening day in Major League Baseball. A little college basketball along the way, but I'm ready to take my Hoosiers out back and shoot Mike Woodson right now. So he doesn't need to be around much longer. And we will not be around much longer today either, because I promised you I'd never waste your time. And I'm sure a lot of you don't want to keep on hearing about how good the Super Bowl was when the Niners weren't in it. So there we go. That's pretty much today's show. That's what we got for you here. Thank you very much for watching and tuning in. Again, like and subscribe. Support the show by maybe thinking about becoming a member, by heading over to Ike's and getting a delicious sandwich from my man Ike, who had a big week in New Orleans. Even though the Niners weren't there, he had a lot of people stopping on by his new location in New Orleans, and hopefully he's opening a new location near you, wherever you are soon. It grows. The Dublin and West Portal is the place to go if you're looking for a perfect Guinness here in San Francisco. And certainly BetUS is the place to go if you're looking for great odds. So check out BetUS and use promo code YouTube150 when you do. Are you ready for a little bit of a history lesson here today? I hope you are. Here we go. Happy birthday. He turns 75 years old today. Happy birthday to Modesto's own Mark Spitz. Now, Mark Spitz went on to swim at Indiana University under the legendary swimming coach Doc Counsilman. And pretty good training happened because Mark Spitz obviously went on to redefine what success was in an Olympic pool. Mark Spitz, one of the greatest Olympians America has ever produced, and it was Mark Spitz's world until Michael Phelps came along. So happy birthday to Mark Spitz. Today in 1763, the Treaty of Paris ended the French and Indian War, and France ceded Canada to England. There you go. Now, they still speak a little French up in Quebec. But, yeah, it's, very, look, until we invade Canada, they are an English-based country until further notice. So, congratulations to them. Today in 1933, and you know what? I guess at the time, when radios were hard to find, when television wasn't really happening, when you looked at all of your communication options, maybe there was an element of charm to this. But here's the thing. Have you ever been out at a restaurant where, like, a mariachi band will come up to your table and start singing to you, or like a person will come by your table and play? Like, I don't like people performing randomly for me when I didn't request the performance. Well, that brings us to, again, 1933, where today the Postal Telegraph Company of New York City announced singing telegrams. How awkward would that be if somebody showed up on your front door today to sing you a communication, like to sing to you what would be put in a text? No, thank you. I don't think, again, 1933, what are we doing today? I don't know. Maybe somebody showing up at your front porch singing in 1933 wasn't awkward. I think it would have been. I don't want a singing telegram. Today in 1953, Romper Room premiered. Remember the end of Romper Room where she used to look in the mirror or through the big glass and she'd be like, I see Kevin and Andy and Sally and Susie. And she was like, oh, she can see us in the TV. Maybe someday she'll say my name. Never once. Never got one Damon in the history of who can I see today? Romper Room. And I watched a lot of Romper Room when I was a kid. Today in 1992, Mike Tyson was convicted in Indianapolis of raping Desiree Washington, who was a Miss Black America contestant. And look, we weren't there. We don't know what happened. But my advice to any young woman in the real moment of today or in 1992 would be, don't show up to anyone's hotel room at 3:00 in the morning. It's a bad idea. Just a bad idea. Unless you're showing up for things that happen around 3:00 in the morning. What are you doing? What are you doing? Again, protect yourselves at all times. Keep your head on a swivel. That's real in the boxing ring, and it's real going to Mike Tyson's hotel room at 3 in the morning. Today in 1993, Oprah Winfrey interviewed Michael Jackson at the Neverland Ranch. I remember that interview. I remember the theater that was in the Neverland Ranch that Michael Jackson and Oprah were sitting on when they had this interview. I remember the charming part of the interview being him showing her how to moonwalk or some of his dance steps. And again, the minute Michael Jackson starts dancing, it's mesmerizing. There's nobody in the history of moving around who ever moved like that guy until there were impressions of that guy. Nobody was a better dancer than Michael Jackson. And having said that, nobody was weirder or like the minute you sat down to talk to him than Michael Jackson. And even though that was Michael Jackson's first televised interview since 1979, there was a reason for that. Because to talk to Michael Jackson was to realize how detached from normal this man really is. And that goes well beyond any concept of doing inappropriate things with kids. Just weird. Weird dude. Like unsalvageably weird. So, had a weird childhood. Yeah, we get it. There's a lot of people who had weird childhoods, but that didn't happen to any of them. Finally, today in 1996, this is a big moment for computer nerds out there. Today in 1996, world chess champion Garry Kasparov began a 6-round match against Deep Blue, which they said at the time was the most advanced computer ever made in 1996. Deep Blue playing a computer built by IBM, playing chess against the greatest chess player of all time, they say, Garry Kasparov. Kasparov beat Deep Blue. Following year, he came back to play Deep Blue again. Deep Blue won that. And maybe that's when AI started. These things are learning, which if you've seen Terminator 2, it's not really good for us, right? It is not good for us that these computers are learning the way that they are, or maybe it's great. I don't know. Either way, what is good for us, as always, is when 650 comes in so generously with a super chat. Thank you, 650. Thank you for another great NFL season, DB. Looking to many more in the offseason on the channel. 650, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it as well. And I thank you for all your generosity to everyone who is a member, who is just hitting like, hitting subscribe. Thank you for supporting the channel. It means a ton. I saw Barry and Mary picking up new merch the other day. They've ordered multiple times from the store, picking up t-shirts and mugs, and I thank you very, very much. We got a request for sweatpants. Maybe those will be offered soon over in the merch department. We got a big off season to think about it. Thanks to all of you for supporting this channel so very, very much. It means the world. Go ahead, please, and subscribe to the podcast as well. Thank you. Thank you very much for tuning in. Good to see you. Thanks so much for coming out and hanging out with us last night. If you made it on out, Albert again says Damon could import all of his daily videos and put them into AI and then have AI speak for him instead. He can retire, but you wouldn't get the real Damon. Yeah, you need someone who is like, I think the beauty of me is he might say some dumb shit. And AI is supposed to be the opposite of that. So you might, don't get the dumb shit. Can we talk a little bit about Kendrick Lamar and his halftime show last night before we go? What'd you think? Get that going in the comments. What'd you think of Kendrick Lamar? The thing that I think I learned about Kendrick Lamar is that he needs Drake badly. Kendrick is good. I like Kendrick Lamar an awful lot, but all of his hot shit has to do with him dissing Drake. It's the truth. I don't know if that was a very good Super Bowl halftime. I did enjoy Serena Williams crip walking. I thought some of the staging, as always, in a Super Bowl is impressive, how they all do it. But that whole thing paled in comparison to the Beyonce Christmas NFL halftime. It was just all right. That's it. You know, Kendrick Lamar being the voice of a generation, probably a little bit of an exaggeration. How about this? I'll bet you he's never asked to perform the Super Bowl again. I'll bet you that. It was all right. It was okay. It wasn't great. Wasn't offensive. Wasn't spectacular. It just was. I thought the best part of the thing was the Grand National. I love Grand Nationals. Like the last great muscle car ever produced in America. That Grand National that he was standing on at the top of it was great. It was all right. Are you going to cover the draft? Mike824, thank you for the super. Of course we will be covering the draft. It's draft season starting today. Horrible. Irwin coming in for Kendrick. Meh. I mean, that's the thing. I didn't think it was horrible. Meh. That's where I came across it too. Otis Bird, I thought it was all right. I'm happy he did Not Like Us. I thought the best part of the Not Like Us was the tease that he gave. You know, when you thought maybe he won't play it. I do know this. He admitted the word pedophile for lawsuit purposes. Again, one man's meh is another man's legendary. Alexander Boyd Productions dropping a legendary. I thought it was all right. We got Monty saying hot garbage, and I'm a hip-hop fan, not just so much of today's rap. Joji dropping the shitty. Big yawner. He definitely doesn't need Drake. I'm telling you right now, without him ripping Drake, he's winning no Grammys, right? I mean, that the whole thing was him about ripping Drake. People loved that. Too much subliminal messaging in performances today. I actually thought that was one of the cooler parts of it, like the divided American flag. I don't know. Is that when did Trump leave the Super Bowl early? Did he leave during Kendrick's halftime? I don't know. I don't care. But yeah, like the Crips and Bloods and the American flag and the blue field of stars and the red and then the white. I mean, like there was some of it. Again, the staging of these things, I think, is like the most impressive element of these things. I mean, it was better than Up with People. Up and away when my beautiful balloon. Like you can say, like for some people, they're like, oh, that Kendrick thing was way too black. I would rather have too black than too white. And Up with People is the most too white thing of all time. That can never happen again. Postman Capitol. Oy, oy, oy! Wasn't impressed coming from a 50-year-old white guy. Again, I'm about to be 50 next month-year-old white guy. I'm a big hip-hop fan. I grew up generation where hip-hop and rap really infiltrated my childhood. I love it. And I like Kendrick Lamar. I think TV Off is a great, great freaking song. I mean, Mustard for everybody, right? I thought it was cool that he brought Mustard out there for a little camera time, and you got a little shout out. It was just all right. It was all right. Red Jet. The Grand National was like, I'm telling you, man, that Grand National. I had a buddy of mine who drove a Grand National in high school. His name was Jim Slicko. And that was his last name, really, Slicko. And he had a jet black, souped up Grand National that his dad put a governor on, and he would take off so he could go really fast, blowing out of the high school parking lot. It was awesome. That car is just all that is America in a car. That Grand National's hot. The ride was clean. Red Jet, of course, the name's red right there in their name. I'm going to need that Grand National in red. Grand National should only come in black. That was awesome. Do they even have like a color option other than black? I don't think I've ever seen anything other than a black Grand National. Brandon Ben says that dude that introduced the Chiefs was weak. That was their first mistake. It was John Hamm who introduced the Chiefs. He's the madman guy. He's a Kansas City guy. I've seen him. He's a big Royals fan. I know that. But, you know, hey, if you offered me a chance to introduce like my favorite team before a championship moment, like, Damon, would you like to introduce the Indiana Hoosiers before they come on out and play today? Yeah. It's, you know, was he good at it? Was he bad at it? I don't know. I'm going to say that everything for the Chiefs went wrong after that. I don't think John Hamm is part of the reason why they lost. And what Bradley Cooper introduced the Eagles. And so, you know, look, I know more Eagles fans than I know Chiefs fans. Happy for them. Go Birds for them. But yeah, Eagles fans, they're kind of a pain in the ass. They really are. And they're going to be hard to deal with. They're going to be very hard to deal with. There we go. Grand National, fire. It really was. What'd you like most about the performance? The car. I don't think that's what Kendrick was going for, but he was all right. It wasn't great. Get the Super Bowl halftime right when it gets to Levi's Stadium this time. Let Metallica play the Super Bowl and let them plug the fuck in and really play it. I don't want any pre-recorded nothing. Let them plug in and play. Thank you very, very much for watching today, for liking, subscribing. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to the super chats and your generosity. And please do remember that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, he's